Okay, so welcome everyone to this deep dive. We're looking at the latest for Light My Way today.
Right. And if you're familiar with it, you probably know it's really focused on making those complex web applications like 3D Experience just easier to handle.
Yeah, improving that user experience, making people more, well, happy and productive using them.
Absolutely. And, think about it. When you first encounter a really powerful platform like 3D Experience, it's got amazing capabilities. But
There's a learning curve, right?
exactly, a big one sometimes. You've got these really intricate processes, maybe tasks you only do like once every few months.
Uh-huh. Or new releases drop, new apps appear.
Or you're just starting out, that whole onboarding phase. It can honestly be quite a hurdle.
It really can. And the traditional ways, like wading through documentation or calling support, they're not always what people want to do, are they?
No, definitely not preferred sometimes. And if it's too hard to learn, you can run into problems. Poor adoption, maybe.
Yeah, or data quality issues if people aren't doing things right.
And, higher training costs eventually. It all adds up.
So that brings us to Light My Way. How does it actually tackle these challenges?
Well, the core idea is that it's this context-aware digital assistant. It sits right inside the web application you're working in,
Okay, so it's integrated.
fully integrated.
Right.
It uses a browser plugin, kind of like, spell checker or something similar you might add to your browser.
Gotcha.
And because it's a plugin, it can see what you're doing on the screen in the application.
And provide help based on that context.
Precisely. Just-in-time information right when you need it as you're clicking around. And a huge benefit is that the application itself, the target environment, it remains untouched.
Ah, so no changes needed to the main software.
None at all. And it works great with cloud platforms because of that approach.
Makes sense. Now, you mentioned context. I know a core part of Light My Way has always been its interactive guides. Can you remind us about those?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are really foundational. Think of them as step-by-step walkthroughs. They're specifically designed for those more complex processors or things you don't do often.
So instead of reading a manual, it actually guides you in the application.
Exactly. It appears right there, showing you where to click, what to enter, step by step. Interactive help, precisely when and where you need it.
Okay, that sets the stage nicely. Now let's get into the really exciting part, the 2025 updates. What's new?
Right. There's some really significant stuff coming. First up is something called Smart AI Support.
AI support. Okay, intriguing. What does that mean in practice?
Imagine you're, stuck on a step or you have a quick question. Instead of leaving the application,
Hunting through help docs or contacting support.
right, Light My Way will use AI to basically find and summarize relevant information for you right there based on what you're currently doing.
Wow. Okay, so potentially no more digging through pages of documentation. It just gives you the answer.
That's the goal. Get quick, contextual answers without breaking your workflow. It's like having a knowledgeable colleague instantly available.
That sounds like a huge time saver, cutting down frustration, keeping you in the flow.
Yeah, we think it'll make a big difference.
Yeah.
And beyond just saving time, it can help people understand the why behind things too, not just the how.
That's a good point. If the AI pulls in related reasoning or best practices, deeper understanding. Okay, cool. What else?
Well, thinking about new users, or maybe users encountering a new part of the application.
Yeah, that initial where do I even click feeling.
Exactly. For that, Light My Way is introducing tours, interactive UI introductions.
Tours, like a guided tour of the screen.
Pretty much. It can walk you through the layout, point out the key buttons, the main functions.
Yeah.
Just help you get your bearings quickly.
Okay, so less feeling overwhelmed by a new interface. It's like a quick orientation.
Right. A friendly guide to show you the ropes before you dive deep.
Nice. And speaking of doing things correctly, you mentioned data quality earlier being a potential issue. Anything new on that front?
Yes, definitely. The 2025 version brings enhanced validation capabilities.
Validation, meaning?
Meaning it can give you instant feedback on the data you're entering. Input validation, right as you type.
Oh, okay. Like spell check for data fields.
Sort of, but more intelligent. It can check if the data follows required patterns or business rules. For example, the source manages high severity, but forget to add a due date.
Ah, I see. So it prompts you while you're making the mistake or the omission.
Exactly. Immediate alerts for potential issues. It encourages correct patterns right from the start.
That could be huge for preventing errors downstream. Better data quality, less rework later.
Absolutely. It's about embedding that quality check right into the workflow.
Makes total sense. Okay, what's next?
Another helper for finding information, Smart documentation links.
Smart links, how's that different from a regular help link?
Well, you know how sometimes you click help and land on a generic page that's barely related?
Ugh, yes. The giant, unorganized help library feeling.
Right. So Light My Way aims to provide links that are much more relevant to exactly what you're doing at that moment, contextual links.
So based on my task, it suggests specific documentation.
Precisely. Just-in-time documentation recommendations, making it easier to find that specific piece of information you need without derailing your task.
Okay, that sounds genuinely useful. Now, you mentioned earlier making things easier. I hear there's something big for the people who actually create this help content.
Ah, yes. This one's really exciting, especially for authors. It's the new record mode.
Record mode. Tell me about that. The source material seemed to suggest it's a game changer for content creation.
It really simplifies the whole process. Traditionally, creating these guides might require some technical know-how, maybe understanding HTML, CSS, XPath, technical web stuff.
Right, needing to know how the web page is built underneath.
Exactly. With record mode, authors can essentially create guides just by doing the process themselves in the application, pointing and clicking.
Wait, really? So you just perform the task and it records the steps to build the guide?
Basically, yes. You click through the process and the system uses the context of your actions, what you clicked on, in what order to build the instructions.
Wow. So the focus shifts from technical coding to just understanding the process you want to teach.
Precisely. It's about logical reasoning. When should this instruction appear, rather than deep technical skills?
That sounds incredibly intuitive. It could empower subject matter experts who aren't necessarily web developers to create really effective guidance.
That's the idea, making guide creation much more efficient and accessible, even if you're not super technical.
Yeah.
Easier than ever before, as they say.
That's a big one. Anything else in the 2025 updates?
One more key area, insight.
Insight, as in analytics, understanding usage.
Yeah. Understanding how the platform and the guides are being used is crucial, right, for making improvements.
Definitely. You need to know what's working, what isn't, where people get stuck.
So, Light My Way will now deliver usage data. It allows for reporting and getting a better handle on user interactions.
What kind of data initially?
The current focus is mainly on guide usage, which guides are being launched, how often, things like that. But even that gives valuable clues.
Sure. You can see which processes people need the most help with, maybe where guides need improvement or where new guides are needed.
Exactly. It provides valuable information on platform utilization and where the pain points might be. A data-driven approach to improving help.
Okay, wow. That's quite a list of updates, so just to kind of pull it all together.
Yeah, let's recap.
We've got Light My Way 2025, really doubling down on tackling those learning challenges in complex apps. It's about integrated context-aware help.
Right, and the new tools are pretty powerful. The smart AI for instant answers.
The UI tours for getting oriented.
Validation for better data quality from the get-go.
Smart documentation links, so you find the right help page.
The much easier record mode for creating content.
And finally, insights to understand usage. It all seems geared towards a smoother, more efficient user experience.
Absolutely. And stepping back, you see this broader shift happening, right, towards learning inside the application.
Yeah, like you said, research suggests users prefer that instant contextual help rather than digging through separate manuals.
Exactly. So by providing that just-in-time assistance and feedback, the aim is really to boost user adoption, improve data quality, make people more productive.
And ultimately, maybe even reduce the overall costs associated with training and support.
That's certainly a potential benefit. Less formal training needed, fewer support calls perhaps. It's about enabling users to be more independent and efficient.
It really does make you think about the value of having that support right there embedded in your workflow.
For sure.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Just imagine, how could having that kind of instant relevant guidance directly within your daily web applications change how you work, how you learn?
Yeah, what new levels of efficiency or maybe even just understanding could that unlock for you?
Definitely something to ponder.